All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with a special episode of Zed Daily. I think this is our first night episode on Zed Daily for me, but my fault on the time scheduling. With the time zones, everything's different now. So HEROin is very nice to have you, my friend.
Thank you. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. So I just wanted to touch on, how did you get into crypto? What was your journey like?
Well, I got into crypto pretty early. I think probably about 5 years ago, when there was the whole ICO craze, etc. So, I was also involved in rather I was working for a family office then, and they were looking at purchasing a blockchain company. So started to do a little bit more due diligence, understanding cryptos a little bit, and that's when I first took a step into blockchain. And we saw a lot of potential in that, especially during then the ICO phase as well. So there were a lot of craze on ICO during the 2017 period. Basically, you just need a piece of white paper and then you can raise millions of dollars. So yeah. So we jumped on the bandwagon then and started dabbling in crypto.
Okay, so how'd you find Ethereum?
Uh, I think the whole ecosystem would be a little bit more inclusive in the future. Currently, it's still really very niche. However proliferated people say Ethereum or blockchain or Bitcoin is at the moment, right? The barrier to entry is still very high. The normal retail investors and the man on the street, right, still need to grapple around getting a wallet, the secret passphrase, etc. And all of us are still used to, you forget password, click on forget password, and you get a reset, right?
Right.
But there's no such thing as a reset on the blockchain. So that itself is a challenge. And I think that's also one of the reasons why blockchain is not really proliferated across the various industry, because there's still this barrier of entry for a lot of people. And of course, the security around it is actually another concern as well. Yeah. So back in 2016, 2017, there was so much hype on blockchain, on how it can change the world. There are tons of ideas out there that say, with blockchain, the immutable ledger and a trustless system, etc., there'll be new application out there, right? But 5 years down the road, right? Effectively, you look at the implementation of blockchain, be it from R3 by the bank consortium, etc., right? You're not really seeing much of that yet. I was pretty focused on a certain industry. I came from a finance background, or rather, I worked in the finance industry for quite a few years, although my background is in engineering. And I think there are a lot of applications that we could use blockchain, but adaptation was going to be in probably another 5 years down the road. So it's still early days for me in terms of Ethereum. I got in when Ethereum was at 100 plus, below $100.
Nice.
Yeah, and it went up all the way to about close to 1,000 then. So you're thinking, wow, boom down, right? But then it crashed all the way down to 180, then went up to 120, they went up to like $80. You tell yourself, shit, what the hell is happening, man? Yeah, but at 4,000 plus now, I think there's still a lot of potential. Gas is a big concern for anybody on the blockchain now. And with the number of numerous layer 2 solutions coming out there, Polygon is one, although we think it's shitty at times. You have Immutable X, Solana. The latest one I'm looking at is Harmony. It looks really interesting as well. So I think with more layer 2 solution coming up, and with Ethereum 2.0 supposedly to solve some issues there, that the potential is still very, very high now.
Very high potential.
And
what do you think? What do you think makes it easier for those new guys coming on? Do you think it's that they just have to adapt and that they have to learn, or is there something that could change to help them kind of get their feet wet into the crypto system?
I think you just have to adapt and change. For blockchain, the foundation of blockchain is going to be there, right? Your seed phrase is going to be there. How you execute and sign transaction on the blockchain via wallets, etc., is going to be there as well. So that's something that you can't change until somebody can come up with an easier method to sign transaction, to store your balances, the crypto, etc., right? It's going to be a learning curve for everybody. But the good thing is this, right? I'm not young, and I'm really pretty much into crypto. Among my cohort of friends, out of 10, I would say probably 30% of them are a little bit knowledgeable about it, but not yet invested in it. So give you a couple more years as a generation like yours comes in, and it will become a norm in the future, right? Say 20 years ago, using email is like, oh shit, really everyone? What the hell is that, right? Yeah, so I don't think it's going to change overnight, but it's definitely something that everybody will pick up once down the road. Yeah, like my mom, right, who doesn't know shit about internet, etc. Right? She does bank transfers, etc. better than me, right? So it's just really about getting in and then lower down the barrier of entry and removing the myth about this whole blockchain being a scam. There's no fungibility to that. Yeah.
100% agree, because my mom, she wouldn't understand it if she didn't have me. And me just looking around at my peers, the only stocks we were investing in was AMC and GameStop, and besides that, we're investing in crypto. That's it. Like, nobody else really cares about everything. My generation, we like Dogecoin, Shiba Coin, and all that because we want the massive gains, right? More risk at a young age. So that's kind of like what we're focused on. But you can kind of see, like, we noticed that Bitcoin is going to be successful. It's that they'll just go further out the risk curve because they want the higher profits. But yeah, like our kids are, it's just gonna be crypto's gonna be completely normal at that point, right?
Yeah, so that's the point, right? You started off with probably Shiba, Dodge, etc., right? But as you go on mainstream, after a while, you realize that there are, we call the majors. So in the finance world, there's also the majors, right? The dollar, the euros, the Aussies, and the sterling, etc., right? So the crypto majors are something that you probably will dabble in as you get used to it, right? You came in and thinking that you want your 10x, 100x, buying Safe Moon, buying Shiba, and all that nonsense, right? And or DGen or Good Morning Coin, whatever nonsense there is, right? But but the thing is this, right? To get into the Safe Moon, the Dodge, your entry point could still be Ethereum. You still need to learn how to bridge that portion, right? And once you start holding Ethereum and say, hey, well, maybe this coin is something that we can hold as well, right? Everybody's holding it. It becomes like the major currency within the crypto world. It is the major currency of crypto world now. And your generation will start to appreciate that a little bit more. And I don't know, who knows? Yeah.
It'll
The
be
sky is the
interesting.
limit for me.
Yeah, sky is
It
the
is,
limit.
it is. Yeah, I'm trying to get my kids involved as well, but yeah, but probably, I don't know, down the road.
Yeah. And I think like when people worry about, we'll get into Zed Run, but I kind of wanted to touch on this because this is interesting.
Sure.
I think like when people like now passing on wealth can kind of, you can kind of like do it in block sizes, or not block sizes, what is it, how Bitcoin, the blocks, or how much you're rewarded, it chops in half every, what, 4 years, correct?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So you
Yep.
could probably do that with like passing on your wealth instead of like just giving all your money to your first child. Like this is the way I'm thinking about going about it. You could preserve your wealth throughout generations by technically having it halved every whatever something amount of years. So never like one person in your family gets all your wealth. Kind of off topic,
Yeah,
but
that's actually no, that's an interesting topic. I mean, life, legacy planning, wealth transfer, etc., is a big industry. In fact, that's something that I've been discussing with a couple of guys on Zed on this whole wealth transfer thing. I don't know. The question you ask the audience, whoever's watching this, right? How many of your spouse knows your past races or know how much you are dabbling into crypto or NFT? And if something happened to you suddenly, and how are you going to liquidate that? I'm pretty sure most of your partners are not that aware of how to um, buy, sell cryptos, and the worst of all, how to sell diamonds, for example, right?
right.
You tell a mom, this is a great horse. She tells you, this shit, man. This is just a bloody picture that moves on the screen. And you're telling me it's going to work 10 Ethereum? What the hell is Ethereum, right? So that's this whole wealth transfer to the next generation is something that I think is an industry problem. I have some ideas around it, and let's just see how it goes in the future. But you're right. Going forward, transferring wealth would be very interesting used via the crypto space. But as regulators start dabbling into tax issues, etc., right, it will be challenging for you guys in the US. I love it when we're in Singapore, we have no capital gain tax. The tax system is so much more accommodating in Singapore, or rather in this region. So I hear all the guys talking about, oh, they have to declare tax for their crypto. The wallet transaction is all open. Some people might just want to hide it for the first year. But this is the blockchain, and there's no hiding. So
Right.
I'm not too sure how you guys are going to manage it down the road. And I think government agencies are regulators will try their best to get a hand into this. Control is a big issue for them. And crypto is something that like a wild west for them, right? They can't have a proper control. Right? So if you notice the initial couple of years, there were a lot of resistance from the regulator. Putting the Howey test in place, putting tons of regulation around US citizens, Australians, etc. But if you take a step back and look at the last couple of years, right, the last 1 or 2 years, you notice that government started to participate. Government started to be more inclusive. You can't win them, right? You got to try to join them, right? And they will try to manage it to a certain extent. Stable coins for government or stable coins for currencies is something that is definitely going to be a thing of the future, right? Singapore as a country has been trying very hard to, or rather has been exploring different ways of leveraging on the blockchain. And uh, ESGD is not something that's very far away for me.
Very.
So the finance system will catch up a little bit. The whole wealth transfer system will catch up a little bit. The banking industry have not really caught up because they're still antiquated, right? They are still a little bit behind the curve. Wherever much they say they're innovating, they are trying to adopt new technology, right? If you look at it, banking industry is always the last to try new stuff. They will say they are trying new stuff, but nothing is ever implemented, right? You'll be surprised. Tons of banks are still running on the old AS400 IBM servers. They just lay it with a nicer UI so that it looks better. That we are using a new system, a new look and feel, right? But the whole backbone is still the same shit that you used 20 years ago.
Because it's
know.
not like there's no incentive for them to accept crypto, right? This is gonna put them out of business, right? The banking system, crypto,
yeah,
in general, but maybe like you'll have some people that might want to store their seed phrase, or they won't want to know all the technicalities of Bitcoin, so they might feel safe with a bank holding their seed phrase or doing their Bitcoin for them. So there might be like a way for a bank to do that, but this kind of disrupts them, right? So there's no incentive for them to accept this market, right?
Yeah. So if you are a forward-looking bank, right, or a regulator, right, then you will tell yourself, no, this is the way going forward. Then you got to evolve in order to survive, right? So one particular bank in Singapore, the biggest bank in Singapore, they actually have a crypto exchange that is supported by the exchange, the regulator in Singapore. Of course, they set the bar a lot higher in terms of investors. They are not letting in retail investors dabble in the crypto. But the sophisticated investors, those above 200,000 US, etc., right, are actually trading cryptos through the exchange. And the funny thing is the exchange actually have an operating hour. Although you know crypto is 24/7, right? But they actually have an operating hour Monday to certain day, certain timing you can trade, etc. And your bankers actually does the transaction for you, and they do the trust for you, as in they hold the cryptocurrency for you. So that actually could be the bridge from the real world to the crypto world. This guy who's somebody that you can trust, the big boys, right? Although they're taking some fees out of it, that's something that the purists of blockchain say, no, we hate the middleman, right? But without the middleman, right, I think it's going to be very difficult to bridge the real world to the crypto world. So this could be the stepping stone going forward. That bank itself is doing great, and he has opened up a lot of retail investors. So either we call it the priority banking or the higher segment customers starting to buy into crypto, because to them, $200,000 when they have a net worth of $20 million, right, it's not a big deal, right? They just throw in $200,000 and throw in $200,000 to buy. Say they bought Ethereum 3 months ago, right? Which other instrument give them the kind of return, and it's yet so liquid.
Very interesting. It's gonna be cool to see how everything plays out. But let's get into the bacon, eggs, and cheese right here. So, how did you find Zed Run?
So a couple of years back, I was, as I said, I was in the family office doing some research on blockchain company, and we actually did a project on democratizing horse ownership. Literally democratizing real life thoroughbreds. Taking a thoroughbred and slice it into 10,000 pieces and sell it off as a fraction of the cost. Because owning a thoroughbred is a very expensive exercise or hobby, right? And the normal man on the street can't really afford to buy a horse in the first place, and let alone maintain the horse. Maintaining of a horse in Singapore probably costs you about a couple of grand, $2,000 maybe per month.
A month?
So having a month, yeah.
Wow.
So it's having a horse trainer, housing, feeding it vitamins, etc., the beds, etc., prepping for the race, the all costs. So we were looking at how to democratize horse ownership, and we were building a blockchain solution around it, right? And we spent quite a fair bit of time on it. And that's when we started to research on what are the various competitors out there. So there were a couple of them that were non-blockchain related in Australia. Australia has a very big racing industry. And that's where I stumbled across Zed Run during that they were just a website and selling pictures on the screen, right? So I thought the whole business concept was very, very strong, right? And I love the idea of how they having a digital horse ownership where you can raise the horse, breed the horse, etc. And the whole ecology behind it, I thought was amazing. So that's when I decided. And at the same time, crypto went downhill. From 900 plus, I brought in, and it went out to like $150, $200. So I was stuck with a bunch of Ethereum doing nothing much, right? And together with another guy, just tell me, why don't we just buy some horses and just keep it for fun? Anyway, if I liquidate that Ethereum, right, I'm not gonna get shit back anyway. So I went on the hunt. I literally, the Discord probably has like about 50 people online. 50 is a crowd actually. Most of the time you see 10 or 20 people on the main channel. And I started to randomly find players and they're asking them, do you want to sell a horse? I went on to OpenSea, I bought a bundle of horses, and I DM almost anybody that I can find and say, you have a Z1, right? Do you want to keep it or you want to sell it? So so I went on the like a treasure hunt, and I have probably about 20 liters left from the big crash. So I just went in to buy all the horses that I can find, and I found about 10 Z1, so I grabbed all 10, and grabbed some Z4s, and then of course I know you heard a lot from the others like Lucky Jack, etc. Right? And that's when I first met Lucky Jack as well. He's showing me his whole theory about monopolizing color codes. I was like, color is just a color, right? So I mean, I like a certain color, so that's great. And I started buying horses off OpenSea. I did the refresh thing that Lucky Jack taught me, and I found a few Z9s and bought a couple of them as well. I bred one horse just for the sake of it, and she's a donkey, so that's the legacy. And we can't do shit about Zed, any of the horses. The pictures were a lot uglier then. There wasn't any racing at all. And so I kind of bought like probably about 30 over horses, and I went away because there was nothing to be seen, right? And one thing about Zed is that they are very consistent. The team is very consistent. They have been consistently slow over the last 2 years in terms of communicating, in terms of marketing. Well, I think the positive side of it, they are trying to build it properly. Mm-hmm. They're taking their own sweet time to make sure that they have the foundation laid correctly. So I just stepped away for a couple of months. I came back again, and then when racing started, so I started racing a little bit. I have a spreadsheet of like 30 tabs. Every single horse race, I enter the horse, I enter the odds, I enter the finishing position, etc. That's before KYH. KYH is a blessing. Haku is a blessing. Zed Run 2 is a blessing. And Genesis horses was losing to the bred horses. There's no way a Z1 wins any race at all. So I told myself, shit, this is just illogical, right? I mean, I spent X amount of dollar and everybody else is winning me, right? So I decided to step away again from the game. Then came the great reset. I didn't do much about it until March. I really came back full time. So that's when the prices exploded. I realized I have a nice little portfolio on hand. So that's it. I've been racing ever since.
So what were some of the best horses that you still have in that first batch that you bought? Like, you still race those horses till today. Do you still have any of those?
The thing is this, right? I'm the worst seller. I think today I sold less than 10 horses over the last 2 years. So whatever horses that I bought during that, they're all still in my stable. So all the 10 horses are still there. My best horse is Phantom Pacer, obviously. So it's doing rather well, although it's been shitty the last couple of days. I'm hoping there's a cyclic thing, right? See You Later is another good horse. Absolutely Elite is another good horse. So a couple of good horses in my stable. I think I'm not very fair I'm not doing justice to all the horses within my stables because I'm not racing them well enough. I'm not racing them frequent enough. So I recently discovered I have another Z1 call every single day. So she has been in my stable for the last 2.5 years, right? I only started racing her really this month or last month. And she qualified for all the tournaments and this coming tournament as well. So I think there are still a lot of good potential horses within my stable. It's just going to find time to race them right. So I basically kept everything.
I'm the same way. Is it because you don't want to cut them? Is it because like you don't want to sell them for a loss, or you just get attached to these horses and you just want to hold on to them? What's the reason for keeping them?
I definitely won't be making any loss. Any single sale, I will recoup my entire investment. Although since March, I put in another sizable chunk to breed and bought some more additional horses. I'm still bullish on the whole game. I still think there's a lot of potential. I was just texting CJ earlier and talking about it, right? I think once we move on to the scholarship model, this is going to be huge. Of course, Dash Token, if they ever launch it, right, will be something that will definitely benefit the Genesis holder, for one. And it would actually open up the market to entire region that has not really catch on to that yet. If you realize now, most of us that are on the game, right, in the game, right, you have the Americans, the Europeans, the British, the Australians, right? You haven't seen much Southeast Asian, Chinese, etc. that are into the game. And put it this way, Chinese, myself included, right? As a race, we are degenerate when it comes to gambling. So yeah, and Chinese love tokens, right? The day when they open up Dash token, I foresee there will be a floodgate opening where the Chinese start coming in. They won't know shit about the game. They just say, oh, this is a token that I can Lambo, whatever it is, and they will buy the token. So I think that is something that I'm looking forward to. And horse racing is big in Asia, right? Dubai, Australia, or Hong Kong is huge. Another two countries that you don't really talk about it, Korea and Japan, right? They have very, very big horse racing industry there. And Korea are big in crypto as well. So those are the other two countries that has not really opened up into the game yet. And that to me is the potential, which is why I'm not selling many horses, if I'm selling at all. I keep on telling myself I need to sell 1 or 2 horses to make sense of it, right? I can't be just flunking money every month to breed and then I don't raise them. No, I probably have I recently started racing some of my unnamed horses, right? At one stage I have 50 unnamed unraised horses. I probably have about another 20 left now. So yeah, I need to work on that. I just need to learn how to let go, right? One of these days. I have to.
How are you breeding these horses? Like, what's your strategy when you're breeding?
I think it's a lot of hit and miss. I noticed some very good breeder within my stable. I have a Z4 Zabo that called Vicious Swap. She breeds very, very well. All things are amazing. In fact, most of my Zabos are breeding pretty well. My Nakamoto, my Naks are, I would guess a 50-50 chance. So what I'm doing now is when I first started breeding a couple months back, right? Phantom Pacer is the core within the system. And I get all my Z1 females to breed with Phantom. And I have one of the worst luck in terms of breeding. Out of 20 Z2 legendary, right? I have probably only 3 mares, which is not fair at all, right? So you say 50-50, right? Come on, man, at least give me 6 mares, right? So, but that leads to a problem, right? Because of no interbreeding within the family, right? I couldn't really breed them back into Phantom. So now I am trying to beat my Z1 with See You Later with another of my Z1, and then trying to cross the legendary to get some exclusive or back to either one of the bloodline. Both See You Later and Phantom are pretty good horses. See You Later has pretty good record in terms of the offspring, and he is running very well too as well. He has also qualified for the tournament, and I think he's second place now in the Zombies Mid Runners Cup. Just 3 more races, I might still catch the first place. Who knows?
How do you feel about these tournaments being out? Like, are you, because you've stepped away from the game 3 times, and you've came back to what, like, the system that we have now. So looking back and seeing what we have now, are you happy with where we're at right now with these tournaments?
I am. No, the thing of this, I know there are a lot of people that are not very happy about what's happening around the system. But if you really take a step back, right, this is a very, very complex machine, right? This is a very complex ecosystem that affects thousands of players, right? Nobody's going to be happy with any single decision making, right? And it's not that the team doesn't listen to the feedback. They are listening and they are implementing. Do you think it's so easy to just switch on one change within a day, right? And people are not happy about, well, I was just reading some posts earlier, right? That bred horses are not given a chance against a Genesis horse, right? Genesis horse does better in the tournament, right? So Zed introduced the PD Cup, which kind of tried to address the bred horses versus Genesis kind of disparity. They introduced the tournament A, tournament B concept whereby they split the prize pool so that you give the second tier horses some chance to make some money or enjoy the game a little bit. But these are things that people don't see. They just feel that the class system is broken, the algo change is ridiculous, you can't change something and not explain to the community, etc. I feel challenged when people have this sense of entitlement that they're entitled to a lot of things. It's a game, right? You have to play by the rules, right? So if the rule change, then you just have to adopt your strategy and try to play along with it. The reason why I stepped away is because I felt that during then there was no real growth yet within the system. And I know that they will take a bit more time. I've waited for like 2 years, right? So far it's another couple of months. So it's okay for me to step away for that. I have not given up on that at all. Even when the Z1 prices went up to like 20, 30 liters, etc. I could have just liquidated the whole stable and be very happy with it. But to me, I think the potential is huge for the game. G1 could be worth a lot more. Look at the last 2 sales, right? You have Milk Bar Mania, who went for like ridiculous amount of money. You have a couple of bred horses that are now commanding a lot more price, a lot more premium. So there's going to be a little bit more interest in that sense, the uptick within the community. And looking at the board offer that I'm getting on my horses, right? It's getting more logical. I got a 3-liter offer for my Z1 now by a board. So that's great, man. It used to be a 1.9. So
what is, like, when you see a sale like Artois, a 30E sale for a Z2 Legendary, and you have a bunch of Z1s and like, hey, I'm making a bunch of these every month. Like, how does that make you feel as a holder of Z1s?
First and foremost, I'm very happy for KYH. I think they made a very good sale. They have hyped it up enough over the last couple of weeks. Artois has been on their Twitter page almost every other day, if I'm not wrong. They are very good salespeople, right? Let's put it this way, right? I'm glad that they went for 30 liter. It could be 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000. Doesn't matter, but it means that I have my stable has the potential to produce a similar winner, and I love that they set the bar high. I might not have the same marketing skill as them. Who knows? I might ask them to sell for me in the future. it makes sense for them to take a cut, right? Yeah, but as a Z1 holder, I'm glad, man. I think it goes to show that there's a lot of potential in producing champions down the road. But it's still a black box, right? This whole breeding game is still a black box. No matter how much people say they know about the breeding algorithm, they have uncovered the secret behind it. To me, it's still a roll of a dice. You might have a higher probability of rolling a good offspring by looking at the historical breed and looking at the past offspring or the siblings, etc. Right? But to me, it's still a roll of the dice. I love mixing blood. I have worked very closely with Jack, HEROin Racing, with Diamond Hand as well, to breed within our Z1s and within our stables. Recently, I got secret strategy as well into my stable. But to me, it's really more of a branding thing than anything else. Would it breed the next beast? Your probability of hitting a good racer is higher than, say, a Z10 good train versus a Finney, right? But still a roll of the dice, right? But overall, I'm definitely very positive.
Yeah, it's a roll of the dice, but it's good to know that you can just throw the dice every month, right? Like, hey, I got a chance at, maybe a good racer, and you can just keep throwing the dice.
Yeah, and the thing is, I have to raise them, right? So
right.
Yeah, I just gonna find time to raise them and breed them. So it's not expensive. It's not cheap to continuously breed your horses as well. If you're not selling any horses, and you think about it, I've bred like 20, 30. My stable is probably about 200 horses now.
Wow.
The amount of money put into breeding is actually quite ridiculous. Yeah, I have about 200-ish horses here.
So you kind of touched on scholarships a while back. With 200 horses, what do you want to see? Like, you probably need some help with 25 races getting 200 horses to even possibly qualify. So, like, what do you want to see as a scholarship system or a third-party system to where other people can come in and race your horses?
Yeah, so Lucky Jack is doing something really interesting this tournament. If you realize, or if you notice, he has been sending horses to people to race for him, and they will have a profit sharing kind of model that requires him to trust the person that's holding his horse. I'm not at that level yet. Until there is a proper system whereby you can transfer horse to a scholar to raise a horse for you, right? I probably won't do that. But what I foresee is, and why I'm building the stable up is the fact that I want to have a model ready for, or rather the stock ready for scholars in the future, right? I think as that increase the class system or modify the class system, donkeys will have a chance within the whole ecosystem. And there was an idea post on Twitter, I think a couple of days ago, whereby why don't they give free races to class 4 and 5 only, with very, very low price pool, right? But it's only for class 4 and 5, whereby donkeys can get the race and earn some money, and people can come in to grind. So that's a perfect model for the scholarship, where they come in, you give them 5 horses, and then they just keep on grinding the horse within the class 4 and 5, and then if you make it, they go to class 3. They can make a decision on whether to continue racing or paid racing, or return the horse back to me and take another 4 and 5 and race again. So it could be like a rental model. I rather not call it a rental model because it has to be a partnership. I don't want to rent out a horse just to earn the rental income. I want to be able to work with somebody that needs the kind of resources and it doesn't have the resources to buy a horse now, but they could build a stable in the future if they are given or rather a small little lift into the game, right? And I have the horses to just share with them, right? And if they raise the horse well, it's good for me, right? The value of the horse goes up. we can do a trade or whatever it is in the future. But ultimately, it is a model that's so powerful. So imagine with Dash token, right? You raise, you get Dash token, very similar to what Excuse is doing, right? The SLP. that model will be huge in the future. And then your bred horses will become something of a value, right? Because donkey now can grind in the class 4 and 5 and make like maybe, even if it's like 20, $30 a day, right? If you are in Indonesia, in Philippines, 20, $30 a day is huge money for you. It's huge, right? When they are average income per month would be like 200 US, or some are even a lot lower than that. If you allow that whole generation of young Indonesians, Filipinos, etc., right, to start grinding and make a living out of this, I think it does society some good, and it does your wallet some good as well.
So that's how you would go about kind of scholarshiping your donkeys. How would you scholarship like a good horse? Would you rent out a horse like Phantom Pacer and like charge a fee for that, like a high fee, or would you just not rent out a horse like that? How would you go about renting out a all-star horse?
I probably wouldn't rent out the all-star horse, and I don't think there's the economic value doesn't make sense, right? You have to rent out at a premium whereby you think it's logical to rent it out, right? And for the premium that the guy has to pay, right, he has to run how many X to make back the or to break even. So it doesn't really make sense. And unless you say you rent it out and then he takes a cover of the starts, etc., he makes the whole start piece, and then he can do marketing a little bit better, then why not? So for example, Phantom Pacer and See You Later or Absolutely Lead, right? If KYH or comes in and say, hey, I can take your horse in for you, right? We'll do a 50-50 split in whatever revenue that we get in terms of breeding and racing. Yeah, I might consider, because they would have the proper outreach to the people. They could sell cover a lot higher than mine. I've been I've been protecting the bloodline of Phantom Pacer to a certain extent. You see, he has not been on public start, or rather, I have not tried to start him for Ether. He has been always in-house, and I'm trying to keep it a little bit more exclusive as it goes along. And I feel that this bloodline down the road, right, will be very important. Right. I know one more Trisha is starting at a huge premium, and I'm very, very happy for him. I think it's like 0.7 or 0.3 or something. A couple of $1,000 for his start. But that's not something that I'm looking at. So back to the question, for premium horses, am I really looking at renting it out? If you break the horses into various tiers, right? My tier 1 horses like Phantom Pacer, See You Later, etc., right? These are horses that I would think it would take a lot for me to rent them out. But the tier 2 horses, I think why not? If that's stable, as a proven record, and you know that he will do the horse justice, right, more than me, because I do not have the capacity, the bandwidth to raise my horses, then I think that's something that I would definitely explore on the revenue share basis. Of course, I think a 50-50 share is not fair, in my personal opinion. If the guy is putting in the effort and time to raise the horse, right, and mine is just capital investment, right, then I think the split will probably weight a little bit higher to his side or her side. Yeah.
Interesting.
But I'm definitely open to doing that in the future.
How much time, like how much hours are you putting into Zed a day?
Too many hours. Yeah, I'm not going to say this online, so no. Too many hours.
Could you go full time, or are you already is like? Could this be a full-time job for you with how much revenue you make off of your horses? Are you profitable enough in racing and breeding to where you could support yourself financially through a digital horse racing game?
At the moment, I don't think so, because I don't really sell any horses yet. Right? If I do actively breed and sell, I think this is definitely a sustainable business. And racing, I mean, I get logical revenue per month racing. I don't race many horses. I don't race many races as well. You can check my stable. I only race a couple of horses most of the time. I make less than 0.5 liter on racing because but I did have a reasonable revenue when breeding was good. When I start out on my Z1s and my Z2. But so back to the question, I think it's definitely something that is sustainable as a business, especially with my stable size. Not at the moment because the market's a little bit depressed, but to be frank, I've been spending a sizable amount of time on Zed every day. I probably enter races up to like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. I wake up at 7 a.m. and first thing I do is to check last night's record. So I will enter like 10 races and then I go to bed. So morning I wake up and I will check the 10 races and then I'll enter another X amount of races depending on the distance available. So I do that pretty often, too often, yeah.
I'm with you, man.
But it's fun.
It's fun,
yeah, it's
right?
just tough, right?
You don't have to wake up and do this, right? It's that you get to wake up and do this, right?
Yeah, and then I would avoid certain horses. I see diamonds, I would try myself not to throw my horse in. It's like wasting money, right? So yeah, but it's fun, yeah, right? And the whole tournament thing has put in a lot more enjoyment to the game. But to be very, very fair, I think it's very exhausting. It's like tournament back to back. Right? There's no rest at all. Every day I enter more than 100, 200 races a day. Easily because of the number of horses that I have, right?
Crazy.
And I keep on doing it like 25, 20 hours. That's like I woke up at 3 to race a horse because the 12-hour reset was then. So I can clock in the number of races and I go back to bed. So that the next 12 hours will be at the lunchtime so that I can do that next 12 hours, next round of races again. So it's just illogical, right? And yeah, there's no break at all. I haven't been doing well in the tournament. I've got quite a few qualifiers every single tournament, but it's just tough getting past the rounds. I think. Not too sure about you. How are you doing for the tournament now?
Like everything I bred hasn't done too good. I have a Z2 Legendary, which was like the second horse I bought. She's not the greatest, so she's not qualified right now. I just kind of gave up on her. I have Diamonds. He's at 280 out of 3. I think the cut line's 382, and I put him at the mid distance. I just didn't feel like racing free racing because like I like the profit along the way. I mean, I would qualify if I did the free racing, but it's still a 50-50 with him if he's going to win at quarterfinals. So I'm like, you know what? I want to get some money along the way of qualifying and then sprinkle in some free races. But it's like, what do you think? Like, does it hurt your pockets? Well, one, are you racing free racing when you're racing for these tournaments? And two, is it hurting your pockets if you race free racing with a good horse?
So with a good horse, I think I mix it up with free and paid racing. So what I typically do is I'll do one free and one paid, one free, one paid, one free, one paid. So I do 2 races at a go, so it's more efficient and I can clear a number of horses as possible. Does it hurt the P&L? I haven't really been focusing on racing revenue in the first place. I'm just really racing for fun, right? And racing for I don't know, for some pride in beating some horses, right? Yeah, so it doesn't really matter to me that much whether am I losing out on the racing revenue. End of the day, most of my horses are already in class 1. Does it make a lot of difference if I race free races now for the tournament or I race paid races? I don't see too big of a difference. But I do notice some trend on certain period within the tournament qualifying period. So typically the first 1-2 days, right? It's always tougher to race on paid racing. people like you and some other horses will be trying to finish the 25 races and qualify as soon as possible. So the competition is a little bit tougher in the first couple of days or first 2 days. Then it's kind of shortened within the middle part of the qualifying, whereby those that already qualified, right, they'll just sit and wait for a while and not do anything about it. And the second tier horses start trying to fight each other for the next few position, right, to qualify for the tournament. So that period to me is the softest place to do paid racing. You probably have a better chance of making some money out of it. Then the last 2 days, right, or the last one day, right, that's where the crazy stuff happening, right? So you have a 180 position and you tell yourself, shit, I'm going to be dropped to B, and I don't want to do B, I want to do A. Then you start racing and start going paid. So I think it's going to be tougher towards the last day. Like today, I think racing could be a little bit. I just had a race with Vanilla Beans, Pinkman, and yeah, I came in probably 11 or 12 for Phantom. That's 6, man. So yeah, it's a lot tougher this place. So if you notice trend within personally for me, I do see some trend within the 7 days qualifying period. And if you want to make good money during that period of time, they just have to time it to a certain extent. But you know that those who have already qualified, will probably take a break. So like yourself, right? If you are racing for qualification, the mindset will be, I want to finish 25 races. I get into the top 100. I know I'm pretty safe, and I'll probably take a break, right? And you being a tier 1 horse owner would then step away from the game a little bit and then try to race a tier 2 horses. So if you're a tier 1 horse owner, right, then racing on day 2, day 3, day 4 wouldn't be more profitable in a sense. Maybe, I don't know.
Do you enjoy like the day-to-day grind of Zed Run with a profitable horse? Like, with your take away all your donkeys, do you enjoy entering big money paid races in Class 1 with like Phantom Pacer if they come up? Or do you just stay safe and you just keep it like the $50, 25s, or are you shooting the 500s when you got your shot at your distance?
I've probably been racing the $2,500 races when the right distance comes about. I've not done the 500 races. I think only once. I don't think I have the heart for it. I saw yours, the Netflix race. I see how you scream and shout. I'm not too sure whether I can take it. For $3,000, I don't know. There's a high stake coming soon next Sunday, I think. High stake race whereby you are having, I think there are 8 or 10 tables or 12 tables for the Griffin tournament. Each race is $200. So that would be fun as well.
You said,
but
wait,
next Sunday.
There's a, is this like high stakes showdown or is this like some inside?
Yeah, high stakes showdown.
Gotcha.
No, high stakes showdown.
Okay. I was like, you got some inside news on us? We got a new
sponsored
Netflix race or something? Would you
No. I mean,
would you hop in a Netflix race if it was at Phantom Pacer's distance?
Yes. Yeah, I think it's a good roll of the dice. That's the thing about Phantom Pacer. I've noticed recently the performance has been less than ideal, and it has been getting a little bit more 10, 11, 12 finishing. If you look at the chart of Phantom Pacer, right, it's something that's not very common. Yeah, so I'm not too sure what changed, but when he wins by a huge lead. So I thought I think if there's a right distance or a Netflix kind of race for $3,000, I'll probably roll the dice. Yeah, and I'll probably do a live stream like you and start shouting about it.
You got to do it for the content because, hey, you never know. The content, it lives on forever, and you never know. It could blow up and make you more money than the race.
That was a great video. I love it, man. That was pure emotion.
Exactly that. It just that's what it was. I mean, when you get in a race like that, it makes you realize like why Zed is gonna be top notch, because once those start happening every Friday or every Saturday, and people actually get to experience that whole race was in a span of 50 seconds. You come in, You buy in for $3,000. Someone walked away with $44,000 at the end of that race for winning. Crazy. In less than a
It's
minute.
crazy. Yeah, but the thing is, it's very interesting what you did then, and you could be sparking off a whole new practice or have or thing going forward. You didn't. You had your friend to stake you for the $3,000. Correct.
Yeah.
Think about it, right? So if I have a horse like Phantom Pacer or Diamond, for example, right, the next race is a 5,000 buy-in, right? Do I want to spread the risk and say, hey, let's do this together? Everybody put in $500 and then we will buy in the $5,000 race, or do it on your own. I wouldn't mind sharing the risk and sharing the profit in the first place. So do I want to miss all the $500 buy-in race in the right distance for Phantom if I have people supporting me all the time? So if I have a bunch of friends out there and or just random people, right, who say, hey, I recognize the potential of this particular horse, and if there's a right race, right distance, I'm going to stake 10,000. I'm going to take $500 or $1,000 each, and then we will just share the pool. That could be really interesting going forward. I mean, Diamond, I'm not too sure whether you have the Ethereum to go in for all the $3,000 buy-in, but if a friend or a group of investors is willing to stake you for that, something like similar to a poker tournament, right? They're also being staked to play the game, right? So why not somebody stake your horse for a high buy-in thing? And why not if I say, hey, I give you an Ethereum this month, one Ethereum, please enter all the races for the month. Any high stake races, because Diamond, I know that we go win rate, right? I should get a positive return out of this one Ethereum. And everything is on the blockchain, right? You can see every single record, right? Why not? And you will race with less fear, right?
100%. I'm hopping in any race, like 100%. But yeah, exactly what you said. Because my friend that gave me that $3,000, he had a horse. He sold his horse because he was like, "There's no point. I'm not gonna get a horse as good as Diamond's. I might as well just invest in your horse, and then we'll split the payouts." Because what I mean, even if I sell half of it next time, say if it's a $5,000 race. I sell $2,500 worth of the action. So I'm only in for $2,500. My investor's only in for $2,500. If we win the race, if it's a $5,000 buy-in, it's higher than the Netflix race. So let's say it's $100,000 to first place. We both lowered our risk on the entry by lowering our cost basis, and then we'll both walk away with 50 G's. Like, that's crazy, right?
This is exactly so. As I said, your model that you've done, subconsciously you didn't realize that you're actually starting a new trend. Who knows? I mean, if the next 1,000 meter race comes about, right, and you say Diamond, who want to stake me? I might stake you. Somebody must stake you. And then just roll the dice, right? Because Diamond, on his good day, he's unbeatable. On his bad day, is like the first Netflix that was 12th position, right? Not wrong.
12th. Yeah.
Yeah, this.
But it's
So,
like
yeah,
only 3 people are going to win, right? So if you're going to lose, you may as well be the biggest loser. But if you're going to have a shot, you may as well have a shot at winning, right?
totally. Yeah, why get 4th, 5th, 6th, right? That doesn't make a lot of difference at all. I'd rather drop the 2 points.
Even second or third. I was happy with third. I mean, like, I thought I was going to get second, but third was still $11,000 on a $3,000 buy-in. That's on a sponsored race like that. You can't complain for even placing.
Exactly. And it's good branding, right? Not that you need any help in branding, but actually it's good for the branding.
Great branding. It's great because, I mean, it shows if you're on the outside looking in, a lot of people, like, I posted it on TikTok, and they kind of, like, general TikTok thinks NFTs and all that stuff is stupid, general TikTok, but it's still the general population of people think NFTs is stupid and the right-click save mentality, but they don't understand that nobody cares if you right-click save because you can't go sell that for anything. So just like with a horse, like, a lot of people, like, they just don't understand that you can make this much money with a horse. a picture of a digital horse. So when you get third place, first place, second place in a race like that, people sit back and they're like, maybe should I buy a digital horse? You know, go scratch a lotto
Yeah,
ticket, right?
yeah, exactly. And there's still potential for branding, advertising, etc. In the Zed Run. With the skin coming on board, who knows what else can you do in the future, right? So Diamond is a great name, right? Think about it, right? So who knows, you might be sponsored by De Beer in future and say, hey, you get a diamond coat or a diamond horse running a diamond race. I don't know. So the potential is huge for the game. Yeah, I can't regret I didn't buy more horses over the last couple of weeks when prices are a little bit depressed. But with a couple of big sales coming on, I think prices will start to pick up again. And yeah, buy more Genesis for the DES token.
I'm gonna have to do that because once that Des token comes out, the price on those Genesis is just gonna get out of here, right? It's gonna go up to the moon because people are gonna finally
I think
see
so.
like it's kind of gonna. The way I look at it, I think it's gonna kind of be like an ENS kind of reaction. People are gonna have their Genesis tokens, and then they're gonna see how much Des token they got airdropped for holding for that long or having this Genesis, and they're gonna be like, I just got airdropped X amount of money. I got airdropped X amount of money. And the same thing with ENS, their airdrop, that was the best marketing they could have ever done. I had no clue what ENS was before that airdrop. And then I was like, oh, you can, instead of sending someone your long string wallet address, I can just make a domain name and send them my name. Clever. Would have never heard of ENS if they didn't do the airdrop. So Zed Run has that same opportunity with Des Token to where someone can hear about how much someone made and then just be like, hey, you can make that much money off of breeding or racing a horse. I wanna jump into this game.
Yeah, exactly. I think we are all still very early in the game. And I think the game is still evolving. There's still going to be a lot of upset people over the next couple of months or even years. The game is so huge, there's no way to get everybody happy about it, right? I see a lot of people bashing Zed and selling stables, etc., right? Um, I don't know. I think they are giving up too early. And to your point, that will be a huge uplift for the game. And I have a strong belief that the team will still evolve and improve. Building a team is not easy, but you really have to take a pinch of salt, right? They only started ramping up somewhere in June. The big pickup for that was in March, April, June period. Then they started crewing up the team, etc. And for any person that's working out there in any company, right, you take months to gel a team and to train a team and to onboard them to the right culture, the right vision, the right mindset, right, and the right technical know-how. So and for a huge software project, especially blockchain related, right, it's not easy to make changes without experiencing bugs, etc. Right. Of course, I think certain things could be done a lot better, like the bloody term and condition, where they have a front end glitch where they can't click right. That to me is not acceptable because there's something that can be tested before you even launch it, right? But other stuff, I think we just have to be a little bit more patient, and probably give the game a bit more chance.
If you could, I'll wrap it up here. We got a few more questions. I just got like 2 more questions for you, and then I'll get you out of here.
Sure.
If you could change one thing in Zed Run, you could bring back odds. You could take away flames, take away queue time, take away fatigue. Whatever you want to do, change one thing. What would you change and why?
There's one thing. I think it would be great if races get started at a certain time of the day. Right. The potential for that is huge when it comes to the gaming portion of it. So you imagine that there are fixed races at 105 to 110, 115, and different classes, etc. That will allow bookmakers to come in and play the game a little bit, and that will grow the game quite substantially. Um, I'm typically not a guy who complains about the game. I don't know. I probably it's just me, right? I'm very acceptable with changes. I'm very understanding when things doesn't work your way. Because the mantra of life is shit happens, right?
Right.
Shit always happens, right? And there will always be things that you're not happy with the game. Do I like odds previously? When odds were around, everybody was bitching about odds being too telling, too definitive of the horse, etc. They don't want the odds, they want some other system. And then when Flame comes out, oh no, I want the odds back. And I don't know, stamina is one thing. I'm happy with stamina. I'm happy with the, okay, maybe not the Flame. I think Flame is I don't know. It gives me a false indicator that I have a good horse, but it's actually quite a donkey, right? And when the competition within the quarterfinals, etc., in the tournament, right, you see that a lot of horses doesn't really Flame. It's because the difference is so minute. So Flame doesn't really matter at those kind of tournament. So for one thing, if you say the one whole thing that we can, I hope that they implement probably a scheduled racing so that we can have a little bit more participants from the masses. So just imagine that scheduled racing, right? I know that the Netflix race is going to be at 3 p.m. today, right? I would probably watch it, and now it's so random, like I have to keep it up, go in and enter the race, and then I don't know. And that could build up the whole. Danshan will love this because he loved the whole gaming aspect of this, right? But that could be something good for the game.
So it's kind of like after qualifying in the tournament, because you got guys like Zombie, you got the Pony Plug, you got a lot of these streamers that make it an event. When we have these races, they sit down, they digest the horse, they'll look at the competition, they look at the field, they look who pulled flames. All right, let's go talk to these stable owners. Who's in this race? Let's make it a build up. And then so when the race comes, there was a big build up to the event and people got excited about it, right?
Exactly. And if it's just currently it's just within the community, it doesn't really reach out to the masses. Can you imagine there are other people who look at it? Say you post it on a TikTok account and then somebody say, oh, really, there's a race now? Why not I take a look at it? And that could introduce more people to the game, right? And with people like Zombie and Pony Plug, Zoo talking about it, that adds a lot of flavor to that. Retro racing, some commentary, etc. Who knows? I think we are still so young in this game. It's such an infancy stage. And we could build a lot of secondary industry supporting it. Zombie has built one very good tournament around the whole Zed ecosystem. Pony Plug has done well as well. I know there are a lot of people that's now divesting, including yourself, into Royal Racer, the Red Village, etc. I'm also in the Red Village. I bought some champions as well, right? But you got to understand this, right? It takes time to build a game. It takes time to build a game. It takes time for this to mature. I always take a pinch of salt. Somebody saying that I'm going to launch my game next week, next month. Unless you're putting the hours, putting the time, it's actually really difficult to launch a game within a short span of 3 to 4 months. Do you know the game Guild of Legends, Guild of Guardians?
Guild of Guardians.
Yep.
I saw something go across my. Did they just mint today or something like that?
They recently had a token sale, totally sold out. They have a couple of different heroes, different variety level, and all have been sold out as well. So they're building a mobile game that's pay to earn, or whatever you call it. And they've been building for the last 6 months, and they're still building. So if you tell me a game can be launched within 3 months, right? I'll be very careful to expect the right quality of the game. Because for any software development pro cycle, right, and for a complex system, right, it is not so easy to start a game. So I think Zed has a huge head start. Although that's something that they shouldn't be less resting on the laurels, they should really be ramping it up, and I hope they are. With the external investors in now, I think they are also pressured to do more, do better and faster. So let's just see.
If you had half an ETH coming into this current ecosystem, if you're a new player, you know about Zed Run, you know about the bloodlines, the Z numbers, everything, but you have half an ETH to start a stable, what would you get to start?
I will probably buy a half a year can only probably buy you a Fini now, a Fini Genesis. Yeah, I'm going to be all for Genesis, so it probably be if I can get a Zabo at half a year, I will get a Zabo. I think Zabo are vastly underrated within the system. They are the same number of Zabos as Nakamoto, so I think there are a lot of values in the future for Zabos. And they are actually very good breeders. So I will get a Zabo. If a mare possible, else start to get some peace and grow the stable.
And so, like for these Zabos, like when you say they're like as rare, is it because it's close to the same number, or do you see them having the same potential to be good racers, having the same potential to be good breeders, or is it just that like the number of them is close to the Nakamotos?
There's exactly the same number of Zabos as Nakamotos,
Same
if
number.
I'm not wrong.
Okay, same number.
Exactly the same number.
Gotcha,
So in
gotcha.
terms of, yeah. And based on my experience, right, they're actually very good breeders. So I've been getting very good offspring from Zabos, and I've been mixing my Zabos with my Nakas, my Nuts to come out with logical offsprings. So, and you look at the price difference, right? A Z3, Z4 versus a Z1, Z2, right? The price drop is quite substantial. So if I have limited funds, I would rather buy a Z4 Zabo than a Z2 Naka. In terms of the value, perceived value that I would get from the horse, right? Z2 Nuts are not well received in the system, unfortunately, right? I mean, although Forever New was sold for like 20 over liters, etc. But that the rare views, the outliners, most of the Z2s are not very highly valued in the system, which I'm not too sure why. But so I will go for a Z4 because of the fact that I think they are relatively good racer and they are also good breeders. If I can afford the price range for Nuts, else I'll buy Nakamoto for sure.
So that's more of like a smarter strategy than coming in and getting that Z2 Legendary scratch ticket, because that's really what the Z2 Legendary is, right? It's either going to be hit or miss. Most likely you're going to miss, but if you hit, god damn it, it's going to be a hit, but you most likely are going to miss on something like that.
The probability is just too low for me. I don't think it's worth the while to roll that dice. And yeah, when you get a Z2 donkey, that's the worst feeling you have. And I have tons of them in my stable, so that's a very bad feeling. Yeah.
If you could buy one horse, you have unlimited budget, this person is willing to sell their horse, you could buy one horse on Zed Run. What horse and why?
Third head.
Who?
Third head is one of the third head.
Third head?
Yeah.
Okay. Why that horse?
Third head is one of the best horse in the system. That's one horse that I constantly got bitten by. So I just want to buy him and then put him out of the system. Right. So Jack has been controlling their blood pretty well, but I think he has managed to flow out a little bit. I don't think he's a good breeder, but I think he's a great racer. If I have a horse like third head, I will be throwing him to every single race of his distance with my eyes closed. Right. The probability of making money from him is huge. Yeah. Not as a breeder, but really as a racer.
Yeah. How much would you be willing to pay for third head? Say you had an unlimited budget, fair for both sides. How much would you pay for third head?
I think based on current Ethereum, I think 150 Ethereum.
150. Wow, that's big.
Yeah. If I'm unlimited budget, I think that's the good price for it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Off a digital horse. Imagine.
Jack will be happy to love this. Yeah.
He'll be happy to hear this.
Yeah, Jack will love it, man. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Everybody was asking me how much are you willing to sell your horse, like Phantom Pacer, right? Put a price to it, right? I can't really put a price to that. So,
same.
How much do you think you will buy Phantom Pacer? If I given you a little budget and I tell you Phantom Pacer is, or rather, Okay, you can only buy Phantom Pacer. How much would you pay for it?
How much? What's the Z number and genotype and bloodline?
Phantom Pacer?
Yep.
Phantom Pacer Z1.
Okay. Yeah. Ooh. If I had, yeah, I'd probably say. Well, I always notice Phantom is kicking my ass at 1,800 meters. I can't touch Phantom Pacer. I'll avoid Phantom Pacer at that distance. So let's say 180 ETH. If I had it, something like that. What Breathless Edge just sell for 110?
110, yeah.
I think the number of these racing Z1s, the price of them is just going to keep on going up. Now, I'll ask you this. What do you think happens if Ethereum goes up? Do you think these horses are going to start to sell for less Ethereum, but US dollar price, or more Ethereum and a higher US dollar price?
I think you'll be sold at the lower number of Ethereum. Unfortunately, people still price it at US dollar, right? Even if it's 110 US dollars, it's still $500,000 that Adam sold his Breathless Edge for. So it's about how do you value the horse, either in Ethereum or in US dollar term, right? Unfortunate thing is everybody sees things to their advantage. When Ethereum increases or price rally a little bit more, right? They will start to price the horse in US dollars and say, oh, this is the maximum I'm willing to pay for it. So the number of Ethereum will go down. That's my personal view.
I'll say this. This is something that I'm worried about and I'm somewhat considering. Is it smarter to sell your horse for a lot of Ethereum now and sit on it because that you won't be able to sell it for that much Ethereum in the future if you're banking on this whole system going up? Or is it smarter to sit on your horse, race it, and then possibly sell it for less Ethereum in the future, but a high USD value? Because you could cash out, like if you could cash out with a Breathless Edge type horse right now for 110 ETH. But let's say in 5 years from now when ETH is at, let's say it's just at 20 grand, maybe you'll only be able to sell it for 50. So it might have been smarter back then to just sell for 110 and then sit on it, right?
You have a point there, but to me it's this, right? Over the next 5 years, right? What are the values that you can extract from this horse? If you're telling me just sitting on the asset and there's no other value on this asset, you can't get passive income, you can't raise it, no, you can't breed it, and it's just going to be just like a picture, right? Then maybe you're right, selling it off now, get more ether, and then wait for the ether to go up to $20,000, and then you're better off, right? But if over the next couple of years, right, you're racing the horse, you're getting passive income from racing, you're getting income from breeding, you're selling offsprings, etc. Would all this side income, right, make up for the total loss in terms of ether, number of ether, absolute number of ether? If it does, then maybe why not? So that's how I will balance it out.
Very interesting. I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But like you said, it's not something that just sits there. It's something that has the potential to produce passive income, especially if it's a colt to where, or a stallion to where you're getting the breeding fees every month, and then just on top of that, if it's a racer, then you have the chance at making some money from there. Very interesting. So last question for you. What other NFT projects are you in? Are you bullish on NFTs as a whole sector, or are you just bullish on play-to-earn gaming? What aspect of NFTs or this sector are you bullish on, and what games are you in right now? Or projects?
I'm bullish on NFT that are play-to-earn. So I am I'm the Red Village, what everybody is, right? I have Chicken Derby. Tons of chicken that I'm not doing shit about it. I'm definitely very, very bullish on Queue of Guardians. I think they have a very strong team and a very strong business case. And the fact that they are a mobile-first game that opens up to a huge load of people. So that's something that I'm definitely very interested in. I have Rumble Kong as well. Don't ever look at my wallet. It's embarrassing to look at my wallet. So I have tons of nonsense that didn't make money. But I think play to earn is something that's going to be huge and going to be big. I'm overall bullish on that. not just NFT space per se, but it's really the play to earn space.
I agree as well. I think if Fortnite taught us anything, is that people love to own skins or special rarities within a game, and now when you can take it to the next level and actually own that and then resell it for something, it's like melt your brain type stuff. And then when you add on the top, like now kids didn't have to tell their parents about Fortnite. No parents ever had to go to GameStop or put a debit card on any type of device to get Fortnite. Their kids bought or got the game for free, told their parents about it, and now they know as kids like that you can buy skins and that makes you rare. So now when they grow up and they get into this crypto market and the NFT market, it's all going to make sense because they've been doing this since they were kids, right?
Yep, exactly. So yeah.
And then where did you get the name? So you say it HEROin. Where did you get the name from?
Yeah. It traces back almost 20 years ago. So I was playing this game called Multi-User Dungeon based on Heroes of the Lands. I'm not too sure whether it's your generation. So those are text-based multi-user game. So literally you don't see any graphics at all. You play through text. HEROin has slashed this monster by and you get how many points, etc. So I was playing those games and I was overly addicted to the game. I played like 20 hours a day, sleep 4 hours, and then in between I wake up and I play all day and all holiday season as well. I've been so addicted and I started my first play is called something similar to my own name, and that particular character failed very badly. And because the game is based on Heroes of the Lands, right? I thought hero is a nice start. And hero is here, hero is in, so HEROin. And that was like 20 years ago, so I've been using that since then.
And it just stuck with you?
Yeah, it just stuck with me. I don't know. It's a nice name, I think. I hope.
I like it. Yeah, I definitely like it, man. Do you got any questions for me, bro?
No, I think you're doing a great job, man. I mean, for a guy your age, I'm super impressed by you. I think you are doing great in terms of your daily stream, how you run your horses, and your maturity level for your age is amazing. So I really wish you all the best, man. And we can discuss some stuff together, man. I have a lot of horses. I was telling CJ as well, and maybe you can pick a horse or two horses from my stable, and then you race it. We can split the profit.
Yeah, I'm cool. Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we can discuss. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, for the next tournament. I mean, the tournament is coming again. I definitely don't have time to race all the horses. Let's have a discussion on that.
Yeah, and I'm on here all day. I mean, this is full time for me. I make just enough money with diamonds to where I can cover my bills, and if I don't have enough, I can go do DoorDash or something to make up the extra. But it's
okay.
I'm putting a lot of time into this game. So yeah, if you ever need me for something, my DMs are open. But thank you so much for your time, man.
Sure. Thanks for having me on.
Sweet.
Appreciate it.
You have a good day,
right.
And then I'll have a good night over here.
All right, thanks for staying up, man.
Yes, sir. No problem. It's only like 10:30, so we're good. Not too late or anything like that. Perfect.
Okay.
All right, man. Have a good night.
All right. Have a good day. You too. Take care. Bye.